All right, welcome back to another installment of Empowered Esquire TV. So I put up a poll. By poll I mean POLL, okay, not POLE. Um, requesting that my family members of the EETV family tell me what you'd be interested in talking about this Sunday. And so your options were Chopper and his arrest. And then you had this Tennessee law that would charge drunk drivers child support when they cause the passing of a parent, right, that left a child behind. And then your next option was Blac Chyna and Kim Kardashian and the Kardashians in this whole lawsuit. So Chopper won, but he won in a weird fashion, right? The percentages with Blac Chyna and the Tennessee law and Chopper were kind of close. So what we opted for was a double hitter with the two top choices. And I may still talk about that Tennessee law because, quite frankly, I'm really intrigued by it. And I think it would be an interesting current event live for us to have. So I think I might pop in at some point during the week to have that Tennessee law convo. Pretoria Afro, yes, you are early. Welcome, darling. Welcome. She gets the honor. I'm going to start highlighting the very first person to be in the chat. So today, shout out to Pretoria Afro. She is the first person in the chat. And in honor of her earliness, I'm going to answer her question. So her question is, who is Chopper? Well, allow me. So many moons ago, there was a show called Making the Band. That's right, not making the band, it was making the band. And Making the Band had a few folks who were put together by P. Diddy to be this super group, right? So you had singers, you had rappers, and people within the like. And so Chopper was one of those people. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is share my screen and show you all because, hey, Pretoria might not be the only person who has no idea who Chopper is, right? I think it's totally possible. All right, so share. All right, here is a photo. This is the back in the days show, right? Making the Band. This young man here is Chopper, okay? And then you had Babs, and then you had, I think her name is Sarah. I could be wrong. And then you had Dylon. I know you've heard like I spit hot fire, Dylon, right? That's Dylon. I don't remember this man's name. Don't remember this man's name. And then this young man here is, I believe, Freddie Gibbs is his name. Okay, and this is another picture of Making the Band. Okay, so this young man here we go, Chopper. That is who we're talking about. Now you'll see more pictures of him, and also you see his picture in the thumbnail. Okay, so that is who we are going to discuss first. Okay, first we're going to talk about Chopper's arrest, and then we're going to talk about Blac Chyna and this Kardashian lawsuit. Okay. So I'm back in the chat. Hello to PETA. Hello to Miss Me, Miss Mo. Hello to Rockin' with the Truth. And hello to QT1. And I want to say to everyone in the chat, it seems that people who are not in the chat have a problem with me shouting out and speaking to the people who are in the chat. And I find that to be curious. Let me say this very clearly. I thank you for joining, and I love the people in the bushes just like I love the people in the chat, okay? But if you are going to have a problem with me interacting with the people in the chat, this might not be the space for you, okay? And if you're jealous, then hop on in the chat, okay? It's totally free. Shout out to Doug. Shout out to Doug, world's best moderator, world's most requested moderator. Miss Me, Miss Mo is also giving Pretoria a little answer to her question about who Chopper is. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and hop into it. I've queued up some articles that kind of get us up to date with everything that's going on with Chopper. And then we're going to get into the law. Okay. Remember, I talk to you guys very often about policy and the law and how certain policies go hand in hand with the law of that jurisdiction. So again, you will find that when a politician comes into power, very often they come into power with a certain platform, right? So they say, I vow to get rid of domestic violence, or I vow to get rid of gang violence, right? Well, the state of Nevada, y'all, has a policy against trafficking. Okay. So you better believe that they take these kinds of cases very seriously because of that policy. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to hop into the first article that I have queued up for you. All right. I don't know what USA Today wants to do. I'm not interested. Let me take a moment to acknowledge someone in the chat. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Oh, there we go. All right. So Rocking with the Truth said, come on in and have a seat. That's right, y'all. Come on in and have a seat. Hello to OCOV fam. Hello to Fat Boy. How are you? All right. So let's get into this news. Okay. Former MTV Making the Band star Chopper faces trafficking charge in Las Vegas. You see the word there. All right, so rapper and former reality TV figure is facing a felony charge in Las Vegas in an ongoing criminal investigation alleging that he used his large social media following to recruit women as P words. Wow. Wow. So Chopper had been featured in this Making the Band show eons ago, and he gained a following from that. And apparently, he decided that the best way to use that following was not to, partner with brands and have brand deals, not to partner with other artists and do like independent music, right? But allegedly, he decided that the best way to capitalize on his following was to use them to recruit women for sales. Okay. Hint, hint. That's interesting. That's interesting. Shout out to True Strong Warrior. Y'all, hold the press. Stop the press, everyone. Diva Divine Light is in the chat. How are you, Diva? I love you and I miss you. And everyone who's here, Diva has an amazing channel. She's a content creator. Okay, you should check her out. Hello to Swan X. Swan X is also a content creator. All right, back into the article. Wow. Records showed that Chopper, whose real name is Kevin Lamont Barnes Jr., was arrested Monday and released Tuesday without bail from Clark County Detention Center. Okay, let's stop here and have a teaching moment. The fact that he was arrested and detained in a county detention center is a hint to you that this is a state/district/county prosecution. Okay, it is not a federal prosecution. All right, pending a preliminary hearing of evidence on May 10th. Okay, so on May 10th, he will get a preliminary hearing. Now, if your question is, well, what happens there? What will happen at that preliminary hearing is that the prosecution will have to present that they have met a certain level of evidence to maintain this prosecution. Okay. Chopper will have the opportunity to address the charges in any way, not a trial, right? But the opportunity to formally and preliminarily address the charges in any way. Okay. And to have details clarified as to the extent of his prosecution. All right. That's what the preliminary hearing will cover. Fat Boy said, Chopper said, forget show business. Ain't no business like a garden tool business. Listen, that's what he decided. He has a whole platform and he said, well, I'm going to get into the garden tool business. My goodness. Oh, my. All right, let's continue. So he was represented by a public defender. Oh, okay. Details of the investigation were not immediately made public by police or prosecutors, which everyone, that is the norm in this type of prosecution because they have victims/witnesses that they need to protect. Okay. The celebrity website TMZ said it obtained documents that show an undercover. Ooh, this is getting juicy. Wait a minute, y'all. Wait a minute. We're going to have to slow down. This is getting juicy. Okay. TMZ obtained documents showing that an undercover vice detective posed as a night worker and said that Barnes was using social media to tell her, okay, to travel to Charlotte, North Carolina to become a part of his team. So, y'all, he was caught because he allegedly tried to recruit an undercover officer to be a part of his team. Now, Diva is making an interesting point in the chat. It seems that we have a pattern, if you will. You know, we like that word here. A pattern of men in the music industry using their influence in that industry to recruit women into intimate work, i.e., work of the night, right? Or night work. Yeah, I can see that that's a pattern, it looks like. And Diva Divine Light said the Mann Act, he may find himself in some federal trouble as well. Very interesting. Okay, let's continue. After his stint on MTV, Chopper, the band was dissolved, as we know, and then the members of the group went their separate ways. Okay, so here's another picture of Making Da Band. For those of you who don't know or aren't familiar with the show, okay, here they are. All right, and here was the group. Interesting. Okay, and so that's really just some flim flam about the group that I don't think we're too interested in here. Okay. So now you have some preliminary information about who Chopper is and what he's being accused of. So now we're going to have the larger conversation really quickly about Nevada and Nevada's policy against this kind of behavior, right? Because as I said, Nevada is not going to take it easy on Chopper because they have a policy against trafficking. And remember, all of these politicians, when they come in on a platform and they have a policy against something, they make an example in these prosecutions to enforce that policy and to make sure that whenever they're up for reelection, they continue to get votes. My mind totally went blank for a second there. Hello, Mom Life Love. How are you? All right, so let's hop into this article about Nevada's policy, right? Let's hop into our teaching moment, shall we? All right, so here we go. Okay, review journalist trying to sell us a subscription. All right. Nevada vows to keep the pressure on traffickers in 2021. Here we go. It took her 5 weeks to decide to testify in Nevada's first jury trial in a trafficking case. It was 2016, and she squeezed a piece of blue Play-Doh as her pimp stared her down in court. It was his trial, but it was my trial too, she says. And it wasn't about him. It was about protecting other people from him. The survivor testified for 2 days about the excruciating torture she endured from her pimp, who had kidnapped her from a bus stop and then sold her into night work. Oh my goodness. By the time she escaped his abuse, she weighed 93 pounds, and had 30 broken bones. Oh my goodness. Her trafficker was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Even though district court prosecutes the majority of these cases, what did I tell you all? This is a district case, okay? About 60 to 80 a year. Trafficking didn't become a state crime in Nevada until 2013. Before that, Nevada's federal court was the only venue for trafficking cases, and only a few were filed. Interesting, okay. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Nevada prosecutes about 300 criminal cases a year. Interesting. That's a sizable amount of resources, says U.S. Attorney Nicholas Trutinich. And now that our office has the pieces in place, we stay at the forefront of this fight. In 2021, we will keep the pressure on. Trutinich became U.S. Attorney in 2019 and said he has since stepped up hiring and reallocating funds to add a second prosecutor dedicated to human trafficking cases. New grant funds were also made available for victim services. Okay. He also credits the massive collaboration with local law enforcement agencies, such as the county DA offices, the Nevada Attorney General, the FBI, nonprofit organizations, and other advocates. Okay, so what you're hearing here is that the state of Nevada, right, their federal district, decided that it was a policy to come down hard on trafficking cases. And so, as a result of that policy, first they came down on the state and said, hey, state of Nevada, you need to have trafficking statutes so that you can prosecute trafficking as well. Right. And then they said, not only do we want the state to have the right to prosecute these cases, but we will support the state in prosecuting these cases. We will give them some of our federal funding to prosecute these cases. So you have the state of Nevada being supported by the federal government in their policy to come down on trafficking cases. Okay, Swan X, no, it is not legal in Nevada. Trafficking is not legal in Nevada, Swan X. So, not sure where you got that from. Okay, but trafficking is not legal in Nevada. And we're going to read the Nevada statute in a little while. Okay. All right. And Diva Divine Light is also providing some clarification, right? But we're going to get into the law against trafficking in Nevada in a second. Hello to Luciano L, or should I say Luciano L. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. But listen, you being here is more than enough for me. Okay. All right, so let's get back into this article. So, prosecuting trafficking. So, the prosecution rates are still low because of the unwillingness of some victims to cooperate, which is true. Which is true. Okay. For example, out of 833 child victim cases from 2011 to 2019, nearly 69% of those cases could not be filed. Wow. So remember, with this type of case, you really, really need a victim slash direct witness. You really need someone who can say, this is what happened to me, this is how it happened, and this is what I was forced to do or induced to do. And it's very hard to prosecute these types of cases without that. Okay. Let's continue. Being in a courtroom like that in a public setting can be very intimidating. And so that's one of the bigger challenges that we have. Clark County Chief Deputy District Attorney Samuel Martinez said, y'all, wait a minute. Man, this article just gets better and better, right? We're going to have a conversation. So a lot of you come onto this channel and you want to talk about the government, right? And how the government works. And so that is why I give you the background, right? That is why I tell you, notice that when you have a policy in place, you get harsher prosecution, okay? Remember that Chopper was arrested by who? The Clark County authorities. So now in this Las Vegas Review Journal article where they're talking about how they're coming down on trafficking and policy against trafficking, and, you know, the federal government is working with the state of Nevada, you now have a direct quote from who? The Clark County DA. So listen, do not for even a moment think that I have to take my sweater off, y'all. So excuse me if you hear the zipper. Do not for a moment think that that is some irony, right? That is some coincidence. No. What we have here, right, is that the federal government and Clark County got together to come down on these cases, and they started talking to the press about it. So we know that Chopper has been arrested by and is being prosecuted by one of the main county DAs that is right at the forefront of this policy against trafficking. So again, we have even more proof that they do not intend to let Chopper waltz out of this case, right? They're making a statement here. Okay. All right, let's continue. So Martinez says that he works with advocacy groups and victim advocates to help witnesses understand the importance of testifying. Wow. So the county that is prosecuting Chopper is at the forefront of getting trafficking victims to testify. Y'all, this doesn't sound good for him. Okay. All right, let's continue. So they opened a center to help people who are victims of trafficking. That's amazing. Okay. Let's see. And then they're talking about now the evolution of policing. Interesting. So now they're going to talk about how they've trained the police officers to spot trafficking and arrest people who are allegedly trafficking. Interesting. So they have a special vice and gang unit. Okay. Hold on one moment, y'all. I'm getting a phone call. Okay. All righty. And they go into how they now have officers that are picking up traffickers. Interesting. Interesting. And they go into another story about a woman that was trafficked. But I'll leave the link to this article in the description because we don't have time for all of that, right? So we will do that. I'll leave the link to this article in the description. And of course, fair use for all of the news clippings and news that we use here to interpret and to edify and educate ourselves on the relevant law. Okay. All righty, y'all. So we're going to get into the law here. Okay. So in the meantime, while I pull up the law, does anyone have any questions about Nevada and trafficking and Chopper before we get into the law and talk about how much time Chopper could be facing? All right. Shout out to Doug for sharing the Cash App. You are encouraged to donate to the channel if you so choose. But remember, a free way to support the channel is to just hit the like button, right? So that doesn't cost you a thing. All right. Doesn't cost you a thing. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the law. Let me pull up my little link here. I have the actual law, y'all. I went ahead and copied and pasted it into a Word doc because it's really, really small. But I want to at least show you the page that you can find the law yourself before we go into my Word doc. You know, but I just had to do the copy and pasting because the writing is so small. Share screen, da, 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 da. All right, here we are. So this is the actual page where you can find the law, right? This is the legislature of the state of Nevada, and this is the actual statute here. It's NRS 201.300. It is called pandering and trafficking. And it begins by giving you some of the definitions. It then goes into what the penalties are and some potential ways that someone could be found to be an exception from this statute. All righty. Okay, so now that you see it, I'm going to take you to the Word doc because as you can see, this is extremely small and it would be very, very difficult if we tried to read, you know, all of this here. Okay, so let's go into my Word doc. Share. Da 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 da. Oh, wait a minute. I have to open it. Okay, there we go. I didn't have it open, and so when you don't have it open, it won't let you share it. Okay, let's see. You're seeing it now. Perfect. So this is the exact statute. This is the exact statute, okay, that we just looked at. I just copied and pasted it because it was too small over there. Okay, so here we go. So first they have some definitions. So for our purposes, we're going to highlight just a few definitions. All right. First, let's highlight induce. All right. Text color or highlight. Let's go text color. So to induce means to persuade, encourage, inveigle, or entice. Okay. For the P word, right? The P word means a male or female who for monetary value, okay, so in exchange for monetary currency, engages in this. Okay. All right. Now let's move on to the last one that I want us to discuss. Transports means to transport or cause to be transported. Take note of that. Okay, because Chopper did not have to physically put this woman in a car and try to take her somewhere. Okay, so to transport or to cause to be transported by any means into, through, or across the state of Nevada. Okay, so those are the definitions that are going to be relevant to us. So remember that. All right, let's get into it. So now we're going to get into our definition. Side note, y'all. I really didn't have breakfast like that. Like I had like a piece of a pastry, and I'm kind of super hungry right now. I'm kind. Whoa. Hold on, you guys. I want to get into the chat here with you all. Let me first turn down my volume. I want to log in on my phone so that I can see the chat a little bit better than StreamYard. Let's see here. I'm logging in. There we go. All right. So I'm in the chat with you all, so I can see you all a little bit better. And then I want to go ahead and pin. One moment. Here we go. Pin message. Okay, perfect. All right. So yeah, I'm a little bit hungry because I really I really didn't have much. But all right, let's get into the definitions. Okay. So, first, a person who, without physical force or the immediate threat of physical force, induces an adult to unlawfully become a P word, or to engage in P, or to enter any place within the state in which P is practiced, encouraged, or allowed for the purpose of S conduct, or P, is guilty of pandering, which is a Category C felony and shall be punished as provided in NRS 193. Okay, so let's highlight this portion and let's have a quick chat about that. So we were talking about what is legal and what is not legal. We know that certain types of P are legal in Nevada, right? But trafficking is not legal. So here they're defining it for you. Pandering or trafficking is when you have someone who induces a person into that lifestyle. Okay. So, in other words, that's Chopper saying to this young woman, "Oh, hey, I see your IG. I see you look really pretty. Oh, I like your hair. Oh, you know, you should do this. Oh, you know, you should be on my team. I could take care of you and I could buy you this and I could get you that." That is inducing someone into unlawfully becoming, right? Because it's without their consent and it's without them going through a legal venue, a P word in the state of Nevada. Okay, so understand why he's being charged with violating this law. All right, let's move forward. Now they go into it further. A person is guilty of S trafficking if that person, here we go again, let's highlight this portion, induces, causes, recruits, harbors, transports, provides, obtains, or maintains a younger person, okay, to engage in P word. So this portion here is specifically for a younger person, okay? All right, so let's go to the second section. Induces, recruits, harbors, transports, provides, obtains, or maintains a person by any means, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that threats, violence, force, intimidation, fraud, duress, or coercion will be used to cause the person to engage in P word. Sounds like a bunch of legalese, right? But what does that mean? Here is what it means. It means that Chopper cannot entice the person. He cannot encourage the person to come and engage in P, whether he does it with physical force, whether he does it with enticing them with money, whether he does it with enticing them with physical things, whether he does it with lying to that person about what they could get from engaging in P, or whether he does it with intimidating that person and saying, well, if you don't do this, then I'm going to blank, right? Any form of getting someone to engage in P word for your own gain without going through a legal venue in the state of Nevada is illegal. It does not matter if physical force is used or not used. And it doesn't matter how you get that person to do it, meaning what form of convincing do you use? All of that is considered to be induction inducing, coercing, and intimidating. Okay. And also could maybe fall under fraud as well. Okay. Now they get into those who use threats of violence and threats of force, right? Which we don't think applies to this situation. Okay. Then they get into persons who take or detain that person, which doesn't sound like it applies to this situation either. Okay. And then it goes into receiving anything of value with the intent of violating this paragraph. So let's talk about this really briefly. This covers someone who intends to do it. So, for example, this covers if Chopper were to contact a man, right? I'm just going to use a man as an example and say, hey, you like this girl? Yeah, she's on the way. You know, I got her. She's coming to North Carolina right now, and she's going to be on my team. So go ahead and cash at me $500. And then when she shows up, I'll take her straight to you, right? This covers that. This covers the intent to do that. So let's say Chopper would have received that money with the intent of selling the woman from from Vegas. Oh my goodness, lack of food. He could still be charged under this law. Okay. So now let's get into penalties. So what happens to a person who is found guilty? Okay. So an adult is guilty of a category B felony. All right. And shall be punished by imprisonment in the state prison for a minimum term of not less than 3 years and a maximum term of not more than 10 years. Okay. So it's a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 10. All right. And that is for adults. Now let's push forward. Let's push forward. All right. So now let's talk about something interesting here, right? Here we want to talk about consent. Okay. So here they mention that consent of a victim, okay, of pandering or trafficking is not a defense to prosecution. So in other words, Chopper cannot say, oh, well, she wanted to. She wanted to come and be with me in North Carolina. It's still illegal. You cannot traffic in the state of Nevada, regardless of whether or not you're alleging that the people who you are trafficking want to be trafficked. Okay, then. Let's keep it moving. Now they're going to get into facilitating trafficking. So let me go into the chat and say what's up to Miss Me Miss Mo is saying she heard the victim was threatened. I did not hear that portion, but if she was, that's terrible. That's terrible. Rocking with the Truth said, I'm going to need you to pause us and get a snack. Okay. All right. I love y'all, but I will pause for one moment and get a quick bite. The pastry is not too far. All right, y'all. I'm back. I just had a brief bite of my pastry. Okay. So let's get back into it. So facilitating trafficking. Interesting. So note that there are a number of different crimes that Choppa could be charged with here. We keep hearing S trafficking because more than likely that is the top charge, right? That is the most serious charge. But there are some other things we've heard that he could be guilty of as well, right? Potentially. This is one of them. So again, Felicia, facilitating S trafficking. A person is guilty of facilitating S trafficking if that person facilitates, arranges, provides, or pays for the transportation of a person to or within the state of Nevada with the intent of inducing that person to engage in P word. Okay? So we don't know if Chapa was facilitating the alleged travel of this young woman, but if he was, we know that not only can he be charged with the top charge of S trafficking, but he can also be charged with the lesser charge of facilitating S trafficking. All right, let's continue. Let's move on to what the punishment for that is. All right. So, any person who is found guilty of facilitating S trafficking is guilty of a category B felony. All right. If the person is 18 years or older, right? So, if they're not a young person, then the punishment is not less than 1 year in prison, but not more than 6 years in prison. Okay, so thus far, we've seen in these statutes two crimes that Chapa could be accused of. We know without a doubt he's accused of the first crime, which is S trafficking, and we know that is a minimum of 3 years and a max of 10. We know that he could also be prosecuted of this lesser crime, which is the facilitation of S trafficking, and we know that is a minimum of 1 year and not more than 6. Okay, keep that in mind. Oh, that's it. I surprised myself there. I thought there was more there. All right, so let's do our little prison calculator here. Prison, you're going to hear me typing. So what? Prison calculator. Now, we're only charging one count. We're not sure exactly how many counts, okay? Remember, these types of prosecutions, they try to seal these documents. So these documents aren't as readily available because they want to protect the victim. So we're going to assume one count of the top charge, okay? And we're going to educated guess one count of the lower charge. All right, so one count of S trafficking. So that puts him at, we'll abbreviate it like that, right? That puts him at a minimum of 3 years, right? Max of 10, okay? And so to be fair, we are going to use the middle range as we always do. So we'll say, what? 6, right? We'll say 6. Now, the lesser charge, one count of facilitating, right? Facilitating S. We know that it is a minimum of 1 year. Listen, y'all, I'm trying to type with one hand, of 1 year and a max of 6, right? Okay. So now again, to be fair with that one, we're going to say 3 years. Okay. So just based off of what we know with our educated guesses, okay, we know that he could be facing up to 9 years of incarceration. We know for sure he's charged with S trafficking, which we know could be 6 years, but could be anywhere from 3 to 10. Okay, so with our educated guesstimations and fairness calculated, we know that he could reasonably face 9 years of incarceration. Now, these are very conservative guesstimations, okay? And for sensationalism, I'm sure you're going to go elsewhere online and see people saying, Chopper facing life in prison, okay? You know that people want views so badly, they would slap their own mama on YouTube, okay? But here, we like to be reasonable and conservative with our guesstimations for the point of being fair and accurate, okay? So, we'll say about 9 years or so. Now, does anybody have any questions about this? Oh, no, Mac. Mac? Yeah. Goodness forbid we get through the live without Mac. All right, without Mac making himself known. Hello to James Harris. How are you doing? All right. James Harris says, I am old and gray. Who is my goodness. James Harris says, I am old and gray. Who is Choppa? James, rewind to the beginning of the stream if you need to know who is Choppa. All right. Guesstimations. That's right. Our guesstimations. And we like to be fair over here. Okay. Fair, FAIR. Somebody hit me up the other day. I don't know where I saw this comment. Was it on my page? Somewhere someone hit me up and said, well, I don't think she a lawyer cause she can't even spell. Yay. My law degree would disagree with you. But I will go ahead and spell, for y'all so y'all know for sure. Okay, for sure. FERSERUST for sure. Miss Mo said Mac is fed up with the YouTubers doing anything for clout. He's so done with them. He's so done with them. They do anything for clout. They'll slap their own mama. They'll put in their title, Chopper getting the death penalty. You'll be like, what? That's nowhere near the truth. they will do anything, and it's a sign of the times, y'all. It's a sign of the times. All right, so we're gonna move on into Blac Chyna. I don't really see any chopper questions, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next topic. So actually, you know what, before we move on though, I gotta ask a question of my people in the chat and my replay gang. What do you think about this prosecution? I mean, do you think that it is likely that Choppa could get some sort of deal where he doesn't do any time? Let's do this. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think Choppa's going to plead guilty and they'll give him a good deal. Give me a 2 in the chat if you think, oh no, he's going down. And replay gang, tell me in the comments. Give me a 1 in the comments if you think that he's going to plead guilty and get himself a good deal, or a 2 in the comments if you think, oh no, he's gonna go all the way down. And Diva says, we understand the law thanks to you, baby. You're welcome, darling, you're welcome. I see a lot of 2s. I see Peter making up your own. Peter, you making up your own numbers? Let me tell you something, y'all are a trip. Peter said, I don't want to do 1 or 2. I would just make up my own number. 3. Get out of here. OCOV thinks that Choppa's gonna get off. Okay, maybe he will. What's up to DJ Dom Money? Long time no see, DJ Dom Money. Where you been? And how are you? So most people think 2. It looks like most of you think that no, he's in trouble here. He's in trouble. Thank you for the compliment, OCOV. Yeah, looks like most of you think he's in trouble. Doug put 1/ Doug, stop playing. Kel's Tear said 2 as well. Okay, so yeah, most of you think that he's in trouble. He might be. Nappy Yankee, shout out to Nappy Yankee. Everybody check out Nappy Yankee's page. Nappy Yankee says Chopper needs to get the chopper. Well, no, good luck to him. That's all we can say is good luck to him, and peace and love to the alleged victims. I wish them courage and protection and restoration, because I can only imagine what they are going through. All right, so y'all, we're going to move on into Blac Chyna and the KKK. All right. I mean, the Kardashians. Ooh, y'all, my bad. Sometimes I get confused. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and pull up what I got queued up for y'all. So here's the stream of logic we got with the Kardashian case. So first, we're going to read some articles about the case so we know what it's about and get caught up. And then I'm going to pull up a specific law that is very, very interesting that Blac Chyna is actually alleging in her lawsuit. All right, so this is going to be pretty interesting. Kelstier says, thanks for speaking the law. You are welcome. All right, Diva Divine Light giving a testimonial for Nappy Yankee. She says he has great content. He has great content, and the ladies love his voice, by the way. Every time he calls into my panel, I get ladies in the chat like, oh my goodness, oh, Nappy Yankee's voice, I love it. All right. Oh, and Doug has dropped in the chat the link to Nappy Yankee's channel. All right, here we go. Let me pull up these articles for real this time so we can get into it. So let's start with let's start with Kim Kardashian getting dropped from the case. And then we're going to take it from there. Da-da-da-da. And we can have a good teaching moment about joinder, right? And about multiple defendants and how a defendant can be dropped from a case without the entire case being dropped. Okay. All right. So here we are. We're going to get started now. Why do I announce that every time? I don't know. Share. Okay, you can see it? Okay, wonderful. Let's get started. Kim Kardashian dropped from Blac Chyna's lawsuits. Quick teaching moment about a lawsuit with multiple defendants. So, here you have Blac Chyna suing Kim Kardashian, Kris Jenner, Kylie Jenner, Khloe Kardashian, Rob Kardashian, right? A bunch of people. And you have Kim Kardashian being dropped from the lawsuit. And there were some people around in the YouTube streets, and God bless their hearts, saying that the lawsuit was over. No, no, no. When you have multiple defendants, you can get one defendant to be excused from the lawsuit. So here's how that happens, and you'll hear more about that. Each defendant would have their own counsel, right? Or the defendants could choose to share counsel. Either way, counsel would specifically enter a motion on behalf of that specific defendant, where counsel would say, Your Honor, this defendant does not have enough evidence against them as an individual for them to be in this case. And so while we understand that the case in general has a preliminary evidence to continue, there is not preliminary evidence to continue against this specific defendant, and you should release this defendant from the case. All right, so let's get into it. So Kim Kardashian dropped from Blac Chyna's lawsuit. On Friday, a judge ruled that Kim Kardashian will no longer be a part of Blac Chyna's defamation lawsuit. And here is some visuals. Now, y'all, I am not going to break down defamation again. Why? Because we've done that 11 times on this channel already. So if you look in the description of this video, you'll see the defamation playlist. And on that playlist, we have all the defamation cases I've ever covered on this channel. Okay, we have the Cardi B case, we have the Candace Owens and Kimberly Klacik case, we have the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case, and specifically in the Cardi B case and the Candace Owens case, I address the elements of defamation. So we're not doing that again, but there is an interesting accusation in this case that we will delve into. All right. Kim Kardashian will no longer be named as a defendant. Okay, she's been released. Chyna, who was born Angela White, sued ex-fiance Rob Kardashian and his family in 2017 for defamation and intentional interference. All right, y'all. So that's what we're going to break down later is intentional interference with her contract at the E! Network. All right. The Kardashian-Jenner family attorney entered a motion, as I said, to have Kim removed from the lawsuit. He argued that Blac Chyna has neither identified an alleged defamatory statement by Kim, nor specified an instance in which she ratified an alleged defamatory statement of another party. Okay, so that was the argument. The argument that got Kim released from this case is that Kim herself did not say anything or do anything defamatory and did not validate or participate in the defamatory action of anyone else. Okay, and they go on some more with some statements in regards to why Kim was released. All right. So Chyna's legal team stated that they believe she had the right to a jury trial in regards to her allegations against Kim, but the court did not agree. However, the trial did continue with the rest of the family as defendants. Okay. So let's hop into that because the trial happened. All right. Let me pull up the next article. Hopefully it'll just copy and paste right in. I've never tried it, but we're going to try it now. It did work. All right, perfect. Perfection. So let me hop in the chat, say hello to everyone. Can y'all tell me? Oh, let me see your transcripts is in the chat, everybody. Let me see your transcript. Shout out to let me see your transcripts. Check out her content. So, can y'all tell me in the chat, what do you guys think about this lawsuit thus far? I mean, do we really think that Blac Chyna was that her income, right, was messed with by the Kardashian family? Do we really think that they took actions to try to stop her from garnering income via this reality show? What do we think? Give me a why in the chat. If you think, yes, the Kardashians were messing with Blac Chyna, they were trying to stop her bag. Give me an N in the chat if you think, I don't think so. I think that people just weren't interested. Replay gang, that's for you too. Give me a Y in the comments if you think that the Kardashians really actively tried to stop Chyna's bag. Or an N in the chat if you think that people just weren't interested. I'm curious. Okay, I see some whys. I see some people saying yes. We think that the Kardashians really were messing with Chyna. Okay, all right. Well, let's see what happened here during the trial. So Pete Davidson crashes the Blac Chyna v. Kardashian trial during closing arguments, with deliberations set to begin Friday. Okay, so the jury is probably still deliberating. Interesting. Let's continue. What is going on here? There we go. Kim Kardashian's boyfriend, Pete Davidson, crashed closing arguments in the Blac Chyna defamation case. Oh, wow. The lovebirds were seen canoodling. How cute. So Chyna is seeking $100 million in damages from Kris Jenner, Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, and Kylie Jenner. Wowza. Okay. She alleges that the family joined forces to get her 2017 spinoff canceled. Okay, so that's the allegation. Remember, this is similar to what we just talked about with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, where Johnny Depp is alleging that Amber's actions caused him to lose the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. All right. During closing arguments, the Kardashian Jenner attorney, Michael Rhodes, said this: she's hiding her income. Oh, interesting. And he focused on Chyna's own admission that she hasn't paid taxes since 2018 and does not have a bank account. That's interesting. Okay. In her testimony last week, Chyna was very vague about her income and her personal appearances and her work posing for OnlyFans. Okay, the attorney proceeded to argue that's not right, to come into court and ask a jury to give her millions of dollars in income that she's hiding. Interesting. Rhodes then reminded the jurors that network executives testified during the trial that there could be no season 2 of Rob and Chyna because the real-life couple had split with so much violence and acrimony that they could barely stand to be in the same room. Interesting. So wait a minute, y'all. That is a good point, y'all. That's a very good point. So if Rob and Chyna can't even stand to be around each other anymore, how could the show have continued? I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right, so now I got to ask you again. You still have the same opinion? So those of you who thought the Kardashians really are messing with Chyna's bag, okay, is your opinion the same? Give me a 1 in the chat if you are one of those why people where you said, yes, the Kardashians are messing with her, and you still hold that opinion. Or give me a 2 in the chat if you've changed your mind. I mean, because this is a valid point. If they broke up so violently, could they really have continued the show? And that question is for you too, replay gang. All right, let's continue. The Kardashian attorney also reminded jurors that Walter Mosley, Chyna's former attorney, testified that the show's second season had never officially been picked up by the network. Okay, another interesting point. So the network didn't previously say we would do a second season and then change their mind, right? That's not what happened. The network never said that they would do a second season. Huh. All righty. Ooh, he got passionate. Rhodes told the jurors, "Don't believe it. Don't buy it. It's not true. It was never her show. She thinks the show's about her and only her." For some reason, this Rhodes gentleman is he seems like quite the entertainment, doesn't he? Blac Chyna's lawyer, Lynn Ciani, posted a graphic on court monitors that read in large block letters, "Use your common sense." Can I tell y'all, man, attorneys love that line. I'm hard pressed to think of a trial where an attorney didn't say, "Use your common sense." They love to say that. They love to say that. All right, so I see ones in the chat. Perfect Nail said yes, because I think Rob would have still done the show for her. Interesting. Okay, so y'all still think it was a Kardashian? Well, hey, we're gonna see. We're gonna see what happens. All right, we're gonna see what the jury thinks. T Bam made a good point. She said the conflict would have brought more viewers. People love drama. Sure, girl. They sure do. Let's get back into it. Ciani, who addressed the court first. I got an interesting question for y'all. Why did Ciani, this is a question for OG. You know, y'all know on my channel I say newbies and OGs, right? So this is a question for one of my OGs. Why did Blac Chyna's lawyer, Ciani, get to present her closing argument first? All right. And if you get that answer, you're star pupil of the live. Okay. That comes with shout out privileges and a special prize. Can one of my OGs tell me, why is it that Blac Chyna's lawyer got to present closing argument first? Somebody called out Diva. Somebody said, Diva, Diva, they're calling you out. Listen, somebody got the answer. And if it's not someone in the chat, I know I got some OGs in the bushes. So emerge from the bush, emerge from the hedges around the corners of the live, come out into the light and answer our question. Why is it that Blac Chyna's attorney, Miss Ciani, got to present her closing argument first? There's a very, very simple answer. Swanex, you're warm, but you're not hot. Swanex is warm, everyone, okay? Look at Swanex's answer. Swanex is warm, but he's not hot. He needs to do some switching around there. Rocking with the truth and Perfect Nails. Got it. All right, let's start with rocking with the truth. Because she brought the case against them. Yes, y'all. Blac Chyna is the plaintiff. Because the plaintiff has the burden of proof, the plaintiff presents first. Okay? Okay. Okay. So rocking with the truth, Perfect Nails, Truth Strong Warrior, y'all got it. But technically, rocking with the truth got it first. Okay, so the Star Pupil Award goes to Miss Rockin' with the Truth. She's been a member of the EETV family from the early days, and she's of the R. Kelly case sector of YouTube. Everyone, give it up for Rockin' with the Truth. All right, so yes, that is why. Because the plaintiff has the burden of proof, and so plaintiff presents first. All right, Sharon Brooks, welcome to the live. I think you're new, Sharon. Okay, so welcome, welcome, welcome. And you've just reminded me, we're going to do our old school church, all the visitors stand. If you are a newbie in the chat, if you are new to the EETV family, please drop the word newbie in the chat so that you may be duly recognized. You may be new, right? But you are welcome. Okay, so all my newbies, let me know so I can shout you out. All right, Sharon Brooks says China is not my cup of tea, but yes, they tried to stop her bag. Okay, okay, her show with Rob was rated #1. Oh, interesting. Okay. Miss Mo says, does defense get a rebuttal? So technically, so what happens is Blac Chyna's attorney gives her closing argument first, right? Then Mr. Rhodes gives his closing argument, and then Blac Chyna's attorney has a potential rebuttal. Okay, so the person with the burden of proof is going to get the potential rebuttal because they have the burden of proving the case. All right. Yeah, Rockin', our star pupil Rockin'. Shout out to Rockin'. Congratulations to our star pupil of the live. All right. Good afternoon to Missy Country Bay. Good afternoon to the whole OCOV fam. I love to have y'all in the chat. This 504 girl, what's up? Rocking with the Truth says, I'm a good listener. You sure are, honey. You sure are. You ain't no newbie, fat boy. You just wanted to shout out, you slickers. Don't be a slickers. This 504 girl said she's a newbie to speaking in the chat, but not on the channel. Well, this 504 girl, we love to have you in the chat. We're glad to have you. We're glad to have you. So y'all know that what we're going to do next is take a quick look at the law. So we're going to look at intentional interference very quickly, and then I'm going to open up the StreamYard. You guys know I'm going to give you all the link. I'm going to open up the live, and some of you all can come up and ask questions or chit chat with me. Okay. So let's get on over to the law. Let me get the link for that. You guys love that proper English that I'm hitting you with there, you know? So it's a wonderful thing when you speak the Queen's English. All right, I got this up for you. So let's go back to sharing the screen. Okay, so remember we spoke about jury instructions, and I shared with you that every single state has published jury instructions where you can see, all right, where you can see how the judge explains the law to a jury in certain types of cases. So we're not going to talk about defamation here because, again, we already have 11 times. All right, so go into the description in the go into the video description and click the defamation playlist for that. But we're going to talk about intentional interference with a contract under California law. We're going to look at the California civil jury instructions. So we are seeing exactly what the jury was instructed in this case. All right. Here we go. California jury instructions, intentional interference with contractual relations. Here we go. So this is what the jury was instructed. Sometimes my mind goes blank. Blac Chyna claims that the Kardashians intentionally interfered with the contract between herself and ETV. To establish this claim, Blac Chyna must prove that there was a contract between herself and ETV, that the Kardashians knew about that contract, that the Kardashians' conduct prevented performance or made performance of this contract more expensive or difficult, that the Kardashians intended to disrupt this contract, or that they knew that the disruption of this contract was certain or substantially certain to happen, that Blac Chyna was harmed, and that the Kardashians' conduct was a substantial factor in causing Blac Chyna's harm. Got it? Okay, so now let's break it down. All right, let's break it down. So first, Blac Chyna has to prove that there was a contract between her and ETV. We got a rub there already, right? Because we know that they had the first season, but to our knowledge, there was no guarantee that there would be a second season. So Blac Chyna has a rub there. She has a rub with proving that ETV really intended on giving her a second season. All right. Shout out to Terry, the Notary Public. He says it's still morning in Cali. Shout out to Cali. All right. Second, that the Kardashians knew of the contracts. Okay, well, we know the Kardashians was aware of the first season, but again, was there a second season? Was that really going to happen? We don't know. That the Kardashians' conduct prevented the second season from happening. So she has to prove that they took actions or that their actions prevented that second season from coming to fruition. Okay. Then she has to prove that they either wanted to stop the show from having a second season or that they knew that their actions were going to stop the show from having a second season. Okay. Then she has to prove that her income was harmed, which again, we got a rub here, right? Because you can allege that you lost income, but there's no comparison there because she really isn't claiming, she doesn't have documentation, rather, to establish what her income was. She hasn't really filed taxes. So there's a lot of discrepancy there as to, okay, well, did you really lose significant income? We don't even know what your income is now. Lots of weirdness going on there. All right. Next portion. That the Kardashians' conduct, okay, caused Blac Chyna to lose money because she lost that second season. So that's the law, y'all. That is the law in this case. So now that we know the law, here's my question to my people in the chat. You think Blac Chyna is going to win this? Give me a 1 in the chat if you think Blac Chyna is going to win this lawsuit. Give me a 2 in the chat if you think, I don't think so. Miss Mo says there was a contract for season 2, or there was no contract for season 2, and then her violent breakup with Rob would make things difficult. Good point. All right, Tawood, newbie alert. All right, Tawood says no. Blac Chyna is not going to win this. What do y'all think? Y'all think Blac Chyna has a chance? Everyone's saying no. Everyone's saying that no. All right. Hello to Draco. Draco is a newbie. Everyone's saying that no, y'all don't think she's gonna win this case. Well, we'll see what the jury decides. We shall see. But you know what she has to prove now. You've heard the law. All right. So let me grab my link to the live. Link to the live is in the chat. Link to the live is in the chat. So y'all come on back and chop it up with me per my usual. I'm going to give y'all 5-ish minutes to come on over, to come on in the room. And if you don't, I'm going to call it an afternoon. All right. Truth Strong says, I don't think she's going to win, but I think she should. Good point. Good point. Kels Tears also doesn't think she's going to win. New subby alert. Shout out to Draco. Diva says, congratulations to Rockin'. Yes, congratulations, Rockin'. I am pasting the StreamYard link into the chat again. I'm giving y'all, as I said, 5-ish minutes to come on back. If no one does, I'm going to continue on with my afternoon because, you know, I love y'all. Okay, I love y'all. But I'm going to continue on with my afternoon otherwise. And I really do think that I'm still going to do that Tennessee law because I'm quite interested in discussing that. Quite interested. All right. So in the meantime, James Harris says 5 minutes. It takes me that long to get to a panel. Why would it take you 5 minutes to get to a panel, James? It shouldn't take that long. You just click the link and then you're in. Oh, we got somebody backstage. All right. So welcoming to the live, OCOV Fat Boy. Welcome, Fat Boy.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
No, I just had a question because in that Chopper case, they even though he didn't meet that person physically, they
Hmm.
still can charge you for this, right? For what he's doing.
Yes. So remember, we read several portions in that law where they discuss intent. And so they made it very clear that intent is enough to be charged under that Nevada law.
Okay.
Hmm.
Wow. So would it be like? Pretty sure you don't know every law from the state referencing that, but usually every state has a law like that.
It would vary state to state. I'm relatively sure that every state considers intent, but it would vary from state to state as to how serious intent is, right? So, for example, one state might say, okay, for intent, no, that's a misdemeanor, but when you actually do it, it's a felony. But then another state might say, no, we think it's a felony even when you intend to. So it's going to vary in seriousness from state to state.
Okay, so he would have had to be the person to engage in that kind of talk, correct?
Right. He would have had to have had the intent. And the state of Nevada considers it a felony to even intend to, by the way.
So, okay, I'm in Florida, so if a person, because you know how you go on some of these websites
Hmm.
and these people, and even you get spam, even on the email, and they trying to solicit you for, what I'm saying, meeting hot chicks and doing all this stuff, they don't get charged for any of that, even if I'll be like, no, what I'm saying? Because they're intending to try to sell me sex online or doing
Um,
stuff like that. Is there laws against that?
well, it depends on exactly what it is they're selling. So are they really selling for you to meet this person, or is it some like webcam thing? Right?
Is
Because that's different.
the web, how they, the webcam thing is, that's the most popular, but they're
Mhm.
always trying to get you to click on the link, tell you 18, log in and sign in, and you know what I'm saying, put credit card information down to try to say you possibly can meet up with people, and also through the webcam thing. So I'm like,
Mhm.
it should be some type of law against that to stop them from soliciting sex. That's soliciting, you know what I'm saying? In a
Yeah,
way.
I mean, there should be, and first let me clarify this. So what you're talking about would be you actually purchasing these services. So it wouldn't be trafficking, by the way, what you're talking about. And there should be a law against that, right? However, comma, the internet is kind of the wild, wild west, and it's really difficult for the federal government to regulate a lot of these websites and how they do their webcam thing. And then remember, it varies from state to state because in Nevada, if you go through the regulated and licensed establishments they have there, you can purchase, blank. But it has to be done via the licensed places that they have, and they don't permit trafficking. So trafficking is not purchasing. Trafficking is what Chopper allegedly did.
Okay.
It's can you come and be a part of my team? And I have this team of women that I'm using to do this, and then I'm benefiting from what they do. That's trafficking.
Oh, okay. Because he gonna okay, well, he gonna be locked up then. You
Yeah,
speaking
trafficking
like
is
that?
not just
That's
not just purchase, right? It's not just, hey, I like you, can I give you some money? It's a whole operation.
oh man. Because it's like because their websites on the internet. Matter of fact, when my coworker showed me, and you have women on there really, you know what I'm saying, really saying like, cause I be joking with it in chat, but talking about they taking donations and all kind of crazy wording they use, but they're soliciting prostitution.
That's
And I'm
why they're
sitting here,
using that crazy wording. That's why they're saying donations and things like that,
yeah, like
Yeah.
somebody like he took me to the website and she was like 60 roses. And I'm like, what the hell is 60 roses? Excuse my language, but what is 60 roses? And then he told me that was $60. And I said, bro, you tripping. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, they really doing it? And it's like a whole bunch of them from city to city online. I'm like, ain't that prostitution? Ain't that legal? Illegal to do that. But like I said, I just want to understand these laws with certain things. 'Cause I'm like, shouldn't they all be getting arrested knowing that they doing this?
Mhm. Yeah, it varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. And in Nevada, they do have certain places that are regulated and licensed to, to sell, as I said, but that's not what Chopper was doing. Chopper was recruiting and allegedly trafficking, and that is illegal.
Well,
Yeah. So
well, you know what? Bye bye, Choppy.
he might be in trouble. He might just find himself in a serious situation here. So, I mean, why not? Again, like I was saying, with the platform that he has, right? Why not partner with brands? Maybe come out with his own clothing line, his own liquor, his own whatever, right? But instead of using the platform for that, he opted to use it for this.
Why?
So,
Well, why not talk to them in person instead of doing it on the internet?
well, I
You
don't know
know,
about that because I'm never going to advise someone. I cannot advise someone on how to do something illegal. So I'm
but
not
no,
going to
but
comment on that.
he was on making the band, and like you knew Diddy. You know what I'm saying? You knew Diddy, and I'm like, you could have, you right. He could have used, try to spin off of that and make his own brand and do something different.
And do
And
something
fuck with that.
legal.
Yeah,
Right. He could have done he with that platform, he could absolutely do something legal that would generate himself money. And there are tons of people who come from I used to be a rapper, I used to be, and they have become something totally different with that same platform. It can be done, right? Rapper turned real estate investor. There are NFL players turned real estate investor. There are rappers turned preachers and motivational speakers with the same platform.
right.
So there are tons of legal things that he could have done with that platform, but allegedly he chose otherwise. Now the link is in the chat, y'all, and I don't see anybody else. Oh, here goes Diva.
Oh man,
Y'all know I be ready. I'm like, I'm ready to go. If y'all ready. All right. Fat boy, you can stay, but I'm gonna bring Diva on up, okay?
yes, man.
All right. Hello, Diva, and hello, Miss Me, Miss Mo. Diva, what's up?
Hey, Miss Esquire. What's up, Fat Boy? What's up, Miss Miss Mo? What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and
Oh man,
everybody in the chat? Well, I am glad that a lot of these women are coming forward. I thank God for hashtag Me Too. I thank God that women are finally standing up against these people in the industry, even though they're powerful with their money, but there is strength in numbers.
Mm,
That is why a lot of this stuff is going down, because a lot of times the accusers are more than just one now. So if we have 10 women stand up against this one artist, it'll be easier to handle than just having the one accuser against the one defendant. I think. What do you guys think?
that's a very good point, Diva. The more people that you get coming forward, the stronger a case gets. Absolutely. And kudos to the victims who, come out against, as you said, these celebrities who are
Yeah.
powerful and yeah, it's very, very scary to come out against someone like this. And the state of Nevada is not playing. Yes, they may have legalized certain types of S work, but
Right.
they're being very, very careful about allowing people to be victimized, and kudos to them for that, right? Because
Yes.
problem with trafficking that people don't understand is that trafficking is victimization.
Yes.
It's one thing to say I'm choosing to do S work, right? That's different. But
Right.
trafficking someone is convincing them, inducing them, persuading them, and then
Right.
you profit off of their S work. That's trafficking, and that's victimization.
Now, now in R. Kelly's case, he didn't profit off of it. It was just for his own personal gain.
Right, still illegal, still illegal. And saying that he didn't profit off of it, remember that he's running, well, he's convicted now. I was going to say allegedly, but
Right.
remember that he was running this entire enterprise, right? So, do we know that he didn't profit off of it? For example, when you have R. Kelly instructing women to sleep with men in his camp, is that not a form of trafficking and profit? Right? How do we know that R. Kelly didn't say, hey, Derek, go over here and promote that show for me, and I got some P word for you when you're finished? How do we know that? How do we know that he wasn't instructing these girls to sleep with these men as a form of payment for work?
Well, he did personally himself pay them for doing their job. I mean, they got paid in gifts, trips, and cash allowances.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, in addition to that, as I said, we could easily draw the logical conclusion that in having these girls do things with these men was also a form of payment, a form of keeping these men loyal to R. Kelly, and that is benefiting from trafficking them.
And so Choppa is kind of like in the same situation?
He's in a vein, but he's more directly profiting though, because it
Right,
yeah, the allegation is that he was actually exchanging money for men doing things with these women, and he was calling these women his team. So
so
there
he
was
was profiting from the men were actually paying him.
that, yes, that's the
Mm-hmm.
allegation. The allegation is that he had
Oh,
a team of women and he was directly profiting. He was exchanging these
okay.
women for monetary compensation. Yeah, so
He's
more
I
worse.
profit
Mm,
actually.
I also say this, Diva. Yeah, R. Kelly paid the girls or women, rather, once they became of age, but they also didn't have choice in some of their activities. So, it's
right,
different. Like they never got to really opt out. Like we hear the stories of him abusing them or forcing them to have engage in some of these activities that they said they did not want to participate in,
right,
as well as the John Doe. So any amount of money he would have given them would have still been insufficient, and it's still, and correct me if I'm wrong, Empire, been illegal because he was making them engage in that behavior when they did not feel comfortable or want to naturally consent. Whereas Nevada is all about if you are on your own free will, no influence whatsoever, and you would like to participate, then that we will allow within our state. But you just bullying people or trying to force them or making them engage with people that they don't want to, that is still not legal at all in Nevada.
right.
Miss Me,
And
Miss Mo, you are right on point with that. You are right on point. The issue is that these girls were at all times, because of the environment they were in, feeling induced and coerced. And that's the same situation with the allegation here against Chopper, that he was inducing and coercing this woman to travel to North Carolina to be a part of his quote unquote team.
under duress. That's a lot. That's he put pressure on them. In other words,
Yeah,
Hmm.
I
same
don't
thing
know
with
if
R. Kelly.
Tears. Yeah. I don't know if Tears is open to coming up or either just dropping it down in the chat. But she did a good live the other day about this Chopper situation. And she was the one who read the
Mm.
article that said that I guess at some point the one of the victims that Chopper had like started to threaten them or like really were trying to push them and cursed at them and made them
Mm.
feel unsafe when they were pretty much kind of hesitant to wanting to move forward and kind of just exploded on them. And that I think was another big factor of how they ended up getting this particular charge. Tears has more of that information, but she confirmed it to me in the chat that, yeah, that was in the news article that she read. There was this exchange between the two of them where I guess the person was a little hesitant or questioning or not moving fast enough or something of that nature when it was time to make the move towards becoming a part of Chopper's camp, and Chopper went off on that person and threatened them and cursed at them and that sort of thing. So there was, I guess, some level of intimidation at least there from that verbal the verbal aggression that was expressed there.
Mm. Well,
Right,
shout out to
under
Tears
duress.
for doing that live. Everyone, check out Tears' YouTube. I'm actually gonna um look now. I can't click the link. You know, it's weird when you're live, but I'm in my
Yeah.
other tab trying to pull up her page and the live that she did just so we can put it on the screen for everyone. But everyone check her out as well. It sounds like she did some really good work.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Shout out to Tia. She's been doing great work coming on and giving her content as well. Tia's, if you get a chance, hit the link, mama.
Empire, I wanted to throw out a couple of other points. I've been
Yes.
following Choppers, not intently, but back in the day, at one point, like about 10, 11 years ago, Chopper had kind of popped back up on the scene. And he popped back up on the scene, and I'll date myself here because I know some people in the chat might not even remember this person, but he popped back up on the scene with Cat Stacks. Do you all remember her? Cat Stacks was,
Yes, Cat Stacks, the female
yeah,
that had beef with Cardi B.
yeah, yeah, she had beef with pretty much everybody. She was the kind of first internet troll, if you will. She was an immigrant from Venezuela who had been trafficked since the age of 14 herself with really just brutal traffickers, and continued to do that, and got into the hip hop scene and started hooking up with various hip hop artists and then blasting them on, back in that day it was MySpace, it was World Star. She ended up being with the owner of World Star, and so that's how she got her claim to fame. And he popped back up on the scene because she blasted him as one of the people that had paid money to be with her. uh, and then it kind of went in. It was very clear, I think, at that point, actually, and some of those videos and interviews that he did are still available if you all want to go back, 10, 11 years. Just look up Chopper Cat Stacks, and you'll see his interviews where he talks about their interactions and what took place. And even then, he was saying, without saying, but it was very clear if you picked up on it, that he was engaging in trafficking as well. And so it very well could be that he's been involved in this sort of thing for some time. And he gave lots of interviews and commentary on how he got connected with Kat, and she also made multiple comments about the fact that he was uh, uh, um, I'm trying not to use. I always stutter and stuff on here because I'm trying not to use the wrong words to mess up anybody's channel. But that he
Yeah.
was trafficking, and that she was, engaged in some trafficking work with him. And so that is one piece that I would encourage. And I mean, being connected with her just in and of itself automatically brings this cloud, you know, just this entire cloud of over him in this case. And I'm sure, or at least I'll be interested to see if this or if that relationship ends up coming back up at some point, and those interviews that he did comes back up as far as how long he may or may not have been involved in this. The other thing I wanted to mention, I'm so glad Tears is here so she can take over on that part of what happened with this particular case. But I also wanted to throw out or ask Empire some questions about this whole thing with Diddy and the contract. So we have heard for years that the contract that Diddy had the making the band individuals under was, I think Jay-Z said it or told Chopper and Dylon that it was the worst deal he had seen in about 10 or 20 years, because it
Wow.
pretty much, there was no way to get them out of it. And even Jay-Z at one point, Dylon and Chopper, Jay-Z apparently attempted to try to buy them out of the contract, because the contracts, once Diddy let the band go, there was pretty much like non-competes and other things that would have prevented them from ever going to another label or anything. And then he tried to buy them out of it, but he said it still would have put them in debt, because the way the contract was, that pretty much they would be working for another company and be able to make music, but pretty much almost all of their profit would still go back to Diddy. And he had a tough time in the negotiation process trying to help get them out of that, because a lot of them had gotten into trouble over the years immediately following, because essentially their bread and butter was to do music, and they couldn't do it at all. And apparently that includes writing music, that includes managing other people. Like, it was pretty much lock solid. And if you look back, and Tears showed a clip of that as well, he told them, make sure you read the fine print before you sign, because once you're in and ain't no getting out, or something of that nature. And sure enough, Diddy has been known for having these horrible music contracts with people who've had, negative experiences. And this is also an example of that, perhaps, of the effects. Now, I'll say there is
Wow.
absolutely, he could have still worked at Walmart, wherever, but rather than to traffic someone. But this contract is also another big thing of who knows what. I know you were saying he could just do brand deals and this and that, from what was said. And also he said it in his interviews, and so has Dylon and a couple of the others. If you notice, none of them from that band have any music involvement at all. And I think he's just now able to do like
Actually, I
some
think,
light stuff.
sorry, Miss Mo, just to say
Mhm.
really quickly, I think Babs does though. I remember
Yeah,
Babs coming out with music very recently.
Yeah.
yeah, but apparently she went ahead and is like, she's still lightly connected with Diddy, if that makes sense. based upon what we know.
Oh,
So she's done things to pretty much say, yeah, I went like, yeah, it was a bad deal, but pretty much she went and got back with Diddy and cut some sort of additional deal that still a good chunk of her profits go back to him, but he was able to negotiate it to a point that she still feels like it's feasible to do something, even though she said she'll never be rich, even if she has a number one song like, Cardi B or whatever. She still will have to pay a good portion of that back.
well, I would say I'm surprised, but I'm not. As you mentioned, Diddy has been known for his shrewdness when it comes to his contracts and things like that. You know, uh, I would love to say that I feel for them in some way, and I still do. There's a portion of me that does, um, but with the reputation that Diddy has, and with how far we've come societally, I think we all understand that when we're signing things like that, we really need to consider it. And sadly, many people just don't fully consider these things. I mean, I have reviewed a similar contract for an artist years ago, and he chose to enter the contract anyway against my advice,
Mm.
against me telling him
Wow,
this
that's
is
probably
very bad. So many of these artists, they know how bad it is. They know what they're signing, and they choose to enter it because the desire to be famous is beyond even the desire to be free.
Mhm.
That
I
that
wonder how big his contract was.
I wonder too. Tears, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing, Esquire? Hey, Miss Mimo and Diva, everybody in chat.
Hey.
Hey, Tears. What's up, Mama?
Yes, so I did read the article where it was I'm not sure if you spoke about it earlier, Esquire, how he reached out to a undercover on Instagram.
I
And
read
it
that.
was him that initiated it. The undercover didn't even come for him. He the one initiated it. But they was saying that he was real aggressive, over the phone. He eventually got real aggressive. He started out nice, but he got real aggressive. He wanted them to become a part of his team, his stable, and and basically force them into it because that wasn't. I feel like a lot of the girls wasn't really ready for it, but he coerced them and telling them how much money they could make.
Interesting. So he actually reached out to this undercover, which that part I
Hmm.
didn't know. But there was a
Yeah.
part about him threatening her. Did you read that?
Yes, he came real aggressive with the undercover over the phone because I guess she was reluctant. And he came aggressive, told her that to pack her bags and she need to be at the airport and meet him. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. What a sick son of a gun.
Just
Yeah.
dumb. And he the one that got himself set up. That's the problem with, just like with R. Kelly. R. Kelly basically set himself up.
Yeah.
It's
Yes, he did.
crazy.
They always want trophies. That's a problem.
Yeah, they start getting too greedy.
I mean, I'm blown away by the threatening her, reaching out to her. So he's actively, if he's doing the reaching out, that means he is allegedly, of course, actively recruiting. Like
Yeah, actively recording, and like he gets verbally abusive. Like some of the girls were scared to leave,
oh
and he
my
would charge them a $2,000 fee.
gosh.
Oh my God.
And that
Wow.
aligns with Cat Stack said. Cat Stack said that she was with him, and I guess everything was going well. And she was very involved in the nightlife and very open about it. She knew what she was getting into. But then she said he became very aggressive with her and became physically abusive towards her, and that's why she left. And but because she had been with, they call them gorilla PIMPs, and so she had been with them in the past, and she had no desire for that anymore. And he became very aggressive, and I think there's even some pictures of her with bruises on her face from where he did that. And he doesn't deny that either, but he just tries to say that she did something to him that provoked him to behave that way. And that was Chopper then. So when I heard this news story, I'm like, that's not too far removed from what was said, it was at least 10 or 11 years ago when that whole thing happened. But this is very similar. And she said he became very aggressive, almost like flip a switch, and he just exploded and went off and really hurt her.
Yeah.
I am I'm so blown away right now. I mean, from what I understood, I thought it was a much smaller thing. But now this sounds like something he's been doing for a long time and probably
Yeah.
larger scale than we even know because he's actively recruiting, he's threatening physical violence. I mean, this sounds crazy.
Yeah, he got 7 houses across the country.
Oh
Mm,
my
He
gosh.
he
yeah.
he bragged about, like, he was bragging about to the undercover cop, telling her what all he got and all the money she could make. And what really got him mad at the undercover is, of course, she can't go. Well, she could have wanted to go meet him, but she was saying that she was scared to leave home because she was acting like she was a teen. And
She was acting like
you
she was a
know
teen?
well, I guess, yeah, she was acting like she was younger than what she is.
Okay, so she was saying she was afraid to leave home, and what did he say?
He was forcing her, and that's when he say that he will charge a $2,000 fee. I guess if they ain't got money to get to him, is, I guess, whatever money he was gonna give to them, $22,000 is coming out of that.
It's an exit fee. So, in a sense, it's an
Yeah,
exit fee. So when you're going to leave a PIMP, you can't just, especially like a gorilla, you can't just say, "All right, I'm done for the night. I'm good, and I don't want to be with you anymore." You have to get a fee in many cases in order to be like released, if you will. I'm gonna allow you to go, but only if you have this money. And that becomes very difficult for a lot of people who are in the nightlife and being trafficked, because every bit of money you get, you have to turn it over. So if I'm turning over this money to you, and prior to even coming out, typically you have to send forward a fee to let them know that you're serious about your commitment
yeah,
towards
Wow.
joining their quote stable. So if you are giving all of your money over to them, then how are you going to come up with $2,000 in order to leave? So it then kind of
exactly.
holds them into that bondage with their trafficker, because they can pretty much never come up with that money, or they have to run away, or they have to find another PIMP who's willing to pay that
Yeah,
fee on
Oh,
their
get in the
behalf
car.
to release them.
Come on, come on. That's like I saw this
Yeah.
movie, and the title of the movie is Sold, SOLD,
Hmm.
and it's about how people in third world countries sell their children
you gonna go, yeah, yeah.
for products. Say for instance, in this movie, it's based on a true story. The parents sold their daughter because they had no more rice to eat to survive.
Mm.
So therefore, they sold their daughter for 30,000 pounds or euros or whatever the money was. It was in India, so it was in India money.
Hmm.
And the traffickers that the little girl was sold to, she was 12 years old at the time, and they only released her under the conditions that she made enough money that the parents borrowed. So it
Mm.
was 30,000 pounds or whatever. The girl had to work off 30,000 pounds. By the time she got to that money, she was calculating how much money she was making. By the time she got to that money, she said, "I'm free to go. When am I ready to go? Because I paid you up." They were like, "No, girl, you got more to do, honey. That's not it. All that other stuff paid for you to live here. You got to make up the rest of that money." She was like, "What? They drugged her. They forced her to do things with men, and they had her in like a brothel. It's a sad story when these things happen to these women, ladies, even boys.
Hmm.
It's trafficking I think will never stop. It's been going on for decades and
Mhm.
centuries. And it's never really going to stop. We can stop the ones that we can, but it doesn't matter. There are pedophiles and human traffickers everywhere.
Just like that bust that just happened in Disney. Nobody,
Oh, wow.
nobody's talking about it.
I
Mm-hmm.
just heard about that too.
Well,
Something with a girl, right? And that guy,
bust in Disney. What happened in Disney? I didn't hear about it.
See, it was a big bust that happened in Disney with sex trafficking.
I
It was
forgot the
it was
guy's
I
name.
think it was earlier in April. Was it April or March?
I think it
It
was
was this
March.
It was
it
in
was
March or
recent.
April. Yeah, one of those. It was uh. That's why they're selling Disney or something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking suck. In other words, that Disney has been condoning, these people that work for them that are dealing with children. I forgot the guy's name. Roman Polanski.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
started with him. Roman Polanski.
Yeah, Roman Polanski. I actually just pulled up an article. I may cover this later, but I see 4 Disney employees arrested in Florida for trafficking in a
Yes,
sea predator sting.
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's it right there, Miss Esquire. Yep, I was about to get into that too because I just saw that a couple of weeks ago too, and I was like, "What the?" Oh,
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna share my screen just so y'all can see it. By the way, y'all, I'm only gonna stay a few more minutes. But let me
okay.
just share my screen. All right, y'all. This is it. This is 4 Disney employees arrested in Florida. Oh my goodness, for trafficking, and they have it was a huge sting apparently, where they arrested a whole group of people, but some of them were Disney employees. And they have some information here. It was a massive undercover operation targeting traffickers who were preying on children. Wow.
Yeah, man, so sad.
Mm-hmm.
10,
So
12-year olds.
yeah, 14-year-old girl. An undercover detective was posing as a 14-year-old girl, and that's how they took them down.
That's what it was. A 14-year-old girl. Undercover.
Wow.
Undercover.
Insane.
It's
In
all over. It's all over. It's all over. And
Mhm.
these people in Congress, they're really trying to come down heavy on human trafficking. They're really doing a lot of things with human trafficking. People are going down. They are really doing heavy sting operations to shut people down.
Yeah, they cracking down.
And they need to because this is disgusting. How dare you take someone's will,
Exactly.
and use that against them? How dare you? And why don't you find some other way to make legitimate money without just simply, quite frankly, just enslaving other people because you don't want to work. That's not
Yeah.
Right.
Modern day slavery. Sure.
yeah, it's disgusting, and I think there should have honestly all this stuff now is long overdue. Also, let me just say this: it's one thing when you're just you know out in the streets and you pick somebody up or whatever, but when you get caught with one of those undercovers, it's a wrap. It is very, I don't see, that's the reason why I think I put definitely a 2 in the chat for Chopper because that
Yeah.
undercover being involved is not a good thing because when at least for instance if it's a person out in the street it's some to some degree like the whole situation with the R. Kelly victims or survivors. I'm sorry, let me correct myself. The survivors, where they have to now kind of prove themselves. They have to kind of justify and prove that this sort of situation happened. But when it's those undercovers, they've already laid the groundwork. The documentation is there. All of it is there and pretty well sewed up. So I think it would be very challenging for him, or much more challenging, not impossible, but much more challenging to get around what he did and what was taking place because you were dealing with an undercover who's dotting their I's and crossing their T's. Miss Esquire, can you maybe speak to that as far as?
Absolutely. I was waiting for you to finish up. So you've
Mm-hmm.
made a good point and I want to add to your point. So a case is stronger when you're dealing with an undercover, not just because they're going to have the level of proof needed for sure, right? Because they know
Mm-hmm.
what level of proof you need, but also because what happens with a lot of trafficking cases, similar to domestic violence cases, is you get victims who back out of trial. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about how hard a trial is for this kind of victim, and they get scared and they get intimidated. And, we know people like R. Kelly will not only intimidate you, but then offer you a vacation to fly you out, or all these things could
Right.
happen. None of those things happen with an undercover detective. You're not going to get a
Right.
detective backing out because they're afraid to testify. You're not going
Mm-hmm.
to get someone intimidating a detective and they back out. You won't get someone disappearing a detective before trial. So you know for sure you have a witness who will testify at a trial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's not going to be good. I'm sorry, Chopper. Like, of all the different situations, this is not the one that you want to be up against. At all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is not a good situation for him. Go ahead, Tears. I thought.
Oh no, I wasn't about to say
Oh,
nothing.
okay. No, but you're absolutely right, Miss Mo. This is one of the worst situations because detectives are the most solid witness you get in this kind of case.
Mm-hmm. As far as the
That's just like,
Kardashian,
oh,
no,
sorry.
no, go ahead, Diva. Go ahead, Diva.
Just like, how is it that R. Kelly is going to fight off that there are 3 videos depicting him committing these acts on minors? I don't know how in the world he's going to fight this preponderance of evidence. It's ridiculous. How are you going to say that's not you? And you're going to actually say that people altered all these videos and use the little man defense? Really? I want to see how
Right,
that's
and
going to
then
work.
and then the videos they found in his storage, in his very own storage.
Right. Like what happened? Somebody went and framed them.
I mean, it could
Well,
be an argument that they might try. I mean,
we'll have to see what they come up with. I want to give a
Right.
shout out to everyone who sent me a cash app. I don't know if you all want to be named, so I won't name you. But shout out to everyone for the love. Thank you. I want to give a thanks to everyone on the panel. Thank you to Diva Divine Light. Thank you to Tears. Thank you to Miss Me Miss Mo. And I'm gonna give everyone on the panel a chance to kind of say any closing words before I wrap it up. So we'll start with Diva.
All right. Well, my closing words are keep R. Kelly locked up and take them all down one by one. Amen to the USA. Okay. And thank you guys. I love you, Miss Esquire. And you must come back because we got a lot of stuff to talk about with R. Kelly and his Chicago case. And maybe you can break down some of the stuff in your terms so we can understand it better because I do my breakdowns as much as I can understand the law. But I love when you correct me when I'm wrong and tell me when I'm right.
Absolutely. Tears. I guess nothing from Tears. Any last words from Miss Me, Miss Mo?
sure, I'll just say, Chopper, wishing you the best, but it's not looking great. Also, the same for Black China. Unfortunately, I know we didn't talk much about that here on the panel, but unfortunately, based upon you being able to break down the law there, it's not looking too great for her either. Even though I think, for me, morally and ethically, I think she has an argument, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the law may be on her side. But we'll continue to follow it. Thanks so much for breaking everything down and always maintaining such an excellent panel and environment here, Esquire.
Yes,
Thank
thank you, Ms. Esquire.
you. Tears, rejoin Tears. Any parting words?
Hey, I walked in the store, got a bad connection. I just want to say that, like Diva said before, slavery is over. Go get a job. Stop trying to sell another person's body parts. For your own money and satisfaction. And thank you so much, Esquire, for speaking the law in a very professional, classy manner. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all too. And listen, I appreciate everyone else that's been here with me for the stream, whether you were in the bushes or in the chat. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. You bring something unique to this channel, to my life, to this world. And you should be proud of that. All right. So I hope you were empowered by the legal information shared here today. And I'll see you next time. Hey, replay gang, what's up? Tell me in the comments what you think first about this chopper prosecution and second about Blac Chyna's lawsuit. All right. So see you next time.
Peace.